You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Now, how can I make the categorical statement that all the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that are watching now and millions that will be touched when you share this with 5 people are all good-looking? Because by definition, if you tuned into the Joy of Living podcast with your humble host, Barry Shore, it means that you're always looking for and finding the good in life. That's the definition of a good-looking person, looking for and finding the good in life. So we welcome you from around the world. And you know that when you come here, you're coming here for one reason and one reason only. It's the best reason in the whole world because you care the most, the entire world, about you. Y-O-U. And that's great because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony. You create more joy, happiness, peace, and love. And especially today, because you're going to meet one of the most interesting, uplifting, humorful people that you'll ever have the pleasure of learning about. And Barbara Ann is a remarkable being. And so get ready and buckle up. Now, you're here because we talk about, as you know, the 3 fundamentals of life. And these 3 fundamentals, when you use them, will enable you to be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? The 3 fundamentals of life, of course, are number 1, your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number 2 happens. Now, in this case, it's a good number 2. You go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. That's right. You lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the 3rd fundamental is to unlock the power and the sequence of everyday words and terms. A simple example. Right now, this wonderful podcast is being carried worldwide over the internet. If you ask anybody, what does www stand for? Invariably, they'll say it has to do with the internet. Factually speaking, they're correct. However, in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, www stands for what a wonderful world. And what is a word, right? WGTA. And of course, a tip of the hat and a big thank you to Louis Armstrong, Satchmo, for enabling that song, What a Wonderful World, to go viral and touch not just tens of millions or hundreds of millions, but billions of people around the planet. Whenever you hear the opening bars of What a Wonderful World, what do you do right away? Can't help but you smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you can ever internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life. SMILE is an acronym. It stands for Seeing Miracles in Life Every Day. That's right, seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I'm honored to be able to speak to live audiences and, of course, on the internet and such like that. Recently, I spoke to a group, 1,127 people, and I'm talking about the story of Barry Shore and talking about SMILE, seeing miracles in life every day. And people raising their hands say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours, I haven't seen any miracles. And I asked them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. You have water, drink, you have food, tea, a place to sleep, you have family, you have friends. Every single one of those is a miracle. Miracle. What's the proof? Simple proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching this, listening to, you are here. That means you have an obligation to live life to the full, to live life exuberantly. Let me tell you a quick story. It's about me. Now imagine, if you can, I'm standing up in the morning, hale and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And that evening, I'm in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed from my neck down. It was not an automobile accident. It was not a spinal injury. A rare disease, which I never heard of the day before, took over my body and caused me to become a quadriplegic overnight. I could only communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 144 days in the hospital. 2 years in a hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't turn over by myself. I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. I had braces on both my legs from my hips to my ankles. That was progress. Thank God today, I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. Can't walk up a stair by myself. I can't walk up a curb by myself. I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, all because of one word. Smile. Now, I got to tell you a quick story, though. my 8-year-old niece comes over to me a few weeks ago. She says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile S-M-I-E-L? I thought about smile. Smile sounds the same. Why not? I asked her how come. She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. But what was she doing? She was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a wonderful acronym that stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. You're going to do a lot of rethinking today. It's what we call a shift in perspective. Now, I've been working with people for more than 4.5 decades. And I can tell you 97.2% of all the people I begin working with, they drop the F in shift and the other stuff happens. So you're going to be effing careful with your Fs. And when you do that, then you can begin to internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever need for your whole life. And they are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation will allow you to be on a path and the trajectory of your own life. Now, I got to warn everybody in advance. Thank God you're always telling your family and friends. So we're adding another 20, 30,000 people every podcast. By the time Barbara Ann comes on in just a couple of minutes, we'll have over 390, maybe even 400,000 people. And it's wonderful. So just keep sharing. We urge you to share with 5 people. That's it. You want to do 50 or 100, it's up to you, but at least 5 so we can touch over 1.5 million, 2 million people. So I got to warn everybody in advance, I do use a lot of 4-letter words. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant, are love, life, hope, free, gift, play, pray, swim. I even use the 4-letter FU word. I do it for the shock value and it's fun. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun, yes. F-U, capital N, capital N. Now, some people raising their hands say, Barry, sure, fun's only spelled with 3 letters. Not in our world. World of the positive, purples, and powerful planets. Spelled F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, when you see your family and friends, I want you to point your finger, have a twinkle in your eye, a smile on your face, remember what this stands for, and tell everybody, F-U. But add it right away, capital N, capital N. So what are you talking? Where'd you get that? So I listened to Barry Shore on the joy of living. He had on Barbara Ann, and he just wants to teach the world to F you, capital N, capital N. So before we bring on Barbara, I just want to urge everybody to be happier and healthier and wealthier. Use the 2 most powerful words in English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life. And these 2 words are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. To harmonize and nurture kindness. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Therefore, be kind always. KIND is a fabulous acronym that stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. And I can't think of anybody that inspires noble deeds more than my dear beloved Jester of the Peace, Barbara Ann. Barbara Ann, please say hello to 392,827 people around the world.
Hello, Barry Style. Hello. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, it is a delight and a pleasure. As I said, Barbara Ann, that's her given name, but her real name, the name that really fits her and she has grown into, is that she is the Jester of the Peace. Now, peace is spelled P-E-A-C-E. Jester is just like it sounds, J-E-S-T-E-R. So first of all, Barbara Ann, if I start telling people about your background and all the things you've done, all the things you've accomplished, and blah, 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 take the rest of the show. So I'm just going to mention 2 things. Number 1 is that you are truly a performance artist. And here's the other gig that I love, an ordained interfaith minister.
That's true.
By the way, let's be blunt. Every minister is also a performance artist, because you're not going to touch that which you need to in the human being, which is the heart and the mind. You need to connect. But yes. What drives me, and I'd like to jump right in and talk about this, is that you understand that humor Humor, as we spell it in American English. Humor is a part of what other people call the medicine cabinet. You and I call the wellness cabinet. So let's just jump right in and talk about humor for wellness, curing people. Come on, Jester. Is that true?
Yeah, it's 100% true. So humor is an ancient part of the human condition. All human beings have humor. So I have this background in clown theater. When I say clown, sometimes people imagine birthday parties and balloon animals and face painting. And those are visual art forms that it takes talent to do well. What I'm really talking about is the actual art form of clown theater, where we take the most difficult things of life, power dynamics, things going wrong, fronting that things are okay, but they're really not okay, and finding catharsis and humor in them so we all can exhale. Humor makes things easier to see. And
Well, wait a minute. I want to unpack what you just said.
Yep.
It's a great line. Humor makes things easier to see.
Yes, when it's funny,
That is beautiful.
when it's funny, our defenses are down. There are a whole bunch of people, especially in the United States where I live, that watch comedy television shows late at night to get the news, because sometimes the regular news can feel chaotic and can sometimes be upsetting. And so to get the news from a humorous source puts some space around the pain so that the heart can still have some hope. I have a deep belief in the power of the first laugh, where something difficult occurs. And some things are too soon forever. Too soon is that comedy industry term where it's not ready for laughter yet, but might be eventually. We wouldn't think anyone would ever be able to make a joke about a war. It's so serious. It's so horrific. And yet there are so many jokes and funny stories because it's part of the healing process. So something difficult happens, and then it's too soon, it's too soon, it's too soon. And then the first laugh happens. And the first laugh could be so tiny. It could be like, hee. It could be even smaller than that. It could be just like the H and half the E. And that's when we put some space around the pain. That's when the heart has hope. And that's when we know the healing journey is going to begin. Even if it's still going to be a very long healing journey, that's the moment where we know it's possible.
I love this language of space around the pain.
Yeah. It's what humor does. I believe that humor is a human right. And I believe that humor can be used as a spiritual practice. It can be used as a healing modality. It can be used as friendship. It hastens relationships. It can be used for self-wellness. One of the projects I have is called Circus of the Heart, which is it's a library, a growing library of videos of people telling stories from their lives that were hard then that are funny now. And hard then, funny now, people define hard in a lot of different ways. I've had people tell me, so it's important to know that the original thing isn't usually funny. It's that something along the journey finds some humor, and that's where the healing happens. So I've had people tell me genuinely humorous tales about an aspect of something along the journey from almost drowning as a child, growing up neurodivergent, finding out parents survived a war and they didn't even know, death of parents, all the way to having to have one's hair ironed on a weekly basis and getting a shoe stuck in the mud and, oh, now what are we going to do? So it's reframing those stories. And sometimes I interview people multiple times because it's important to represent that reframing our stories with humor, leaning into that human condition that we all have, leveraging the first laugh. It's not a one-off thing. It's something that we do over and over and over and over and over. And if I gather multiple stories from the same person, we can say, look, this is a life practice. And one way to be a friend to someone, and this is not for the person who's in their deepest pain, it's for the person who's reaching for hope. And sometimes the people around us can see that we're reaching for hope before we can. And so one way to help people is to listen for the first laugh and help to cultivate awareness that the first laugh is even possible, because some stories can come out of too soon into healing just because we could be aware that the first laugh even exists or is possible.
You are so wonderful to me. Can't you see? And again, I'm only the voice of hundreds of thousands of people around the world who are leaning in and listening, because this is a wave of wellness that's coming over everybody. That's a wow, by the way. Wave of wellness. I just made that up. The key here is everything you want to know about Barbara Ann, the Jester of the Piece. You don't have to write down stuff. Just lean in and let it flow around you, through you, in you, etc. Just go to my website, barryshore.com, BARRYSHORE, barryshore.com. Everything about Barbara Ann is there. So just right now, experience this. That's really the key to life. And you mentioned a couple of words I'm going to unpack here. One is you talked about the journey, the journey, the journey. So the acronym that we use for joy, which is the name of this podcast, right? The joy of living. Joy stands for, Barbara Ann, journey of you.
Yes.
Isn't that great? You know, it's so simple. You never think about it. Joy, journey of you. You also mentioned this wonderful this reality called reframing. And I published, I'm happy to say, honored to say, I published 3 books last year. Each one of them, by the way, in their own category, was a bestseller. Is a bestseller, continues to be. One is called The Joy of Living. You deserve it. Another one is a pocket full of acronyms. And the third one is Shift, with the F, just a little bit of the line. And we just published a book last week. You didn't know this, called Reframing.
Ah, how perfect.
Reframing, the art of living. Yeah. So I am just, our cup runneth over with love and laughter. Your insights, and because, again, you work with people on a regular basis. And I want to emphasize that when the Jester of the Piece is speaking, she's speaking not only from the ideas you just mentioned about the pain and not now, and eventually maybe we will laugh in the first laugh, etc. One of the things part of her whole world is that she brings out laughter in people in all kinds of situations, in the most wonderful, for instance, marriages. Let's talk about marriages for the moment, because that's where I think you excel. Because let's be blunt, at a marriage, a wedding ceremony, people are already predisposed, unless, of course, it may be the father-in-law who's paying for everything, but somebody predisposed to being happy, to laughing, to smiling. And what you do is you bring about the ability to take that to an exponential level and above. Is that correct?
So I was a full-time wedding officiant for 10 years, and I performed 560 weddings. And the name Jester of the Piece actually came from that career, because I was a clown theater artist. And then I started doing wedding ceremonies. And my very good friend, Michael, said, well, you're a clown and now you're doing wedding ceremonies. You should be the Jester of the Piece instead of the Justice of the Peace. And I said, you are correct. I should be the Jester of the Piece. And that's where that came from. But then after I stopped being a full-time wedding officiant, I kept it because it still means humor for humanity. It still means playfulness for people. And so one of the reasons I became an interfaith minister is that I became an internet minister. And just, you sign up for the day to marry your friend, because some friends of mine asked me, hey, will you officiate my wedding? And I thought, why would you want me to do that? And then after I did it, I understood, because I really care about community. I love ritual connection. I really, really desire people to be seen, heard, celebrated, connected, known. That's so important, which I'll also talk about in a second. So when I started becoming a wedding officiant, I started doing costume weddings and helicopter weddings, and doing the wedding for the people who really needed to express their creativity in that ceremony, or they weren't going to feel real. So there's this whole continuum. Some people, if they don't express their tradition in their wedding, they're just not going to feel authentic. And the other people, if they don't express their creativity, they're not going to feel authentic. And that whole continuum is completely equal. It's just know where someone is. And so I was the officiant, the Jester of the Piece, who would be like, we want to get married in a helicopter because we believe in adventure. Great. We want you to marry us as the Grim Reaper on Halloween, because costuming is a massive part of our relationship. We have a big costuming practice in our relationship. And so we want to honor that. I want you to marry us at 6 a.m. in the snow. I want you to marry us as Glinda the Good Witch of the North, because We feel like the religious situation we grew up in didn't accept us because we were gay, whatever it's going to be, right? But what happened is that I thought, oh gosh, I care so much about the sacredness of humor because I'm an interfaith minister, but I'm not a member of a religion.
Let's sacredness of humor.
Yeah.
Interfaith minister. On that high note, we're going to pause right now because we have sponsors that, thank God, love the show, support the show, and we vet them. If we didn't think that they were worthy of your attention, of their products and services, we wouldn't have them on. So we're going to be right back with more Jester of the Peace and a helicopter wedding right after this brief message. Don't go away. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings. Have I got something special for you? Yes, it's going to prolong your life. You're going to thank me. This is called Prolon, Prolon. Now, let's be blunt. Everybody knows that fasting is healthy. You know that fasting also can be challenging. Hello, I'm not going to eat, but with Prolon, you're going to be able to eat and fast at the same time. Does that sound strange? Well, it is, but it's not. So get this. Prolon isn't a diet. Prolon is science based on prize-winning discoveries in medicine. And it all starts with Prolon's 5-day program. Snacks, soups, beverages, all designed to keep your body in a fasting state. It's unlike anything you've ever experienced. Now, I can tell you, I've been doing intermittent fasting for many years. Everybody knows fasting is good for your mental acuity, for your physical being, for your overall well-being, and reducing your blood sugars. So I want to urge everybody, I use Prolon. It's exactly what I do use, and it's convenient, and it's backed by this great science, and most importantly of all, it works. So here's what I'd like you to do. Prolon is offering the Joy of Living listeners, that's you, our dear beloved audience, 10% off their 5-day nutrition program. Go to prolonlife.com/Barry. Now that's Prolon, PROLON life.com/Barry for this special 10% offer. Go to prolonlife.com/Barry. You will thank me. You'll be sending me notes, and I urge everybody, do it. It's good for you. Go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. Our cup runneth over with good in a being, an animate being. Her name is the Jester of the Peace, because that's who she is. Okay, she happens to be called Barbara Ann Michaels also. Everything you want to know about her is at my website, barryshore.com, BARRYSHORE, barryshore.com. Go there and just research and look and have fun, because she is the essence of FU, capital N, capital N. So we were talking about being the officiant. I like that. Being the officiant at weddings that express the desires of the people getting married. Yes. And you mentioned things, everything from a helicopter wedding to a costume wedding to
whatever it is. I had many people invent their own rituals. And after a certain point, right before the break, I was saying, I care so much about the sacredness of humor and humor as a life path. And part of that's because I'm an improviser and a clown and understand the human condition, the importance of those for the human condition. That I thought, people aren't going to take my clients seriously if I'm an internet minister doing costume weddings. So I better do something that brings some gravitas to this, that has people take creativity. Because I'm a very serious artist. I just happen to I use humor as a strategy and do very playful things because it's faster. Human connection, humor makes it faster. So I went to Interfaith Seminary and became Reverend Artist Barbara Ann Michaels, Jester of the Peace, so that when I was a full-time wedding officiant, I do costume and helicopter weddings and weddings on anything people would want to do, just about, that there would be, that the importance of that because people don't mess around with their wedding ceremony. People do what they need to do. And it was a tremendous honor. I also was a wedding officiant in New York State right before same-sex marriage passed in New York State. And I got to officiate some of the first legal same-sex marriages in New York. And that was a tremendous honor. So one of the things that I appreciate about you, Barry, is that you take things that are very familiar, like words, and you break them up into different, you reframe the words. And I, as an artist, also do that. The major project that I have is, the working title is Humorville. It may have a new title someday. Right now, it's called that.
It's called, it's called Humorville.
Yeah, like temporarily. Yeah.
And again, everything you want to know about Barbara, and just don't write anything down, just go to my website, barryshaw.com, because you're going to be able to explore the world.
And discovery is life.
Discovery is life. I love it. Yes. So talk to us about Humorville.
Yeah. So I have been making audience participatory experiences. I'm an audience interactive artist. I've been a clown. I was a pediatric hospital clown. I've been a stilt walker, a circus artist. I have done wedding officiating, which is audience interactive, and the theater job you never age out of. That's for the theater people. I've done keynoting. I've been an educator. Every kind of audience participatory experience. I've done comedy, dinner theater, everything, or almost everything. So I didn't realize that I made a town, even though I've been making a town for over 20 years. So when I've made the post office called Love Letter Lounge, where you write letters to clear your heart and you either mail it or shred it. I've made the marriage bureau where you marry a part of yourself, like you marry your creativity, or you marry sleep, or you marry your vacation town, or you marry your whole self. I have the phone company where you call yourself on the phone and tell yourself everything you've been holding back. There is the library, which is the Circus of the Heart project, where you express stories that were hard then that are funny now, that other people can check out and listen to other people's stories. And that's just 4 of them. There's actually almost 20 of these. And I did not realize that I was making a town, but I did. And so one of the things I'm doing now is, what if we could put that town in buildings, and you could go from room to room? In this room, you married yourself, and then you went to the voting booth and voted for yourself to be president, whatever you want. And then you called yourself on the phone. When you get out of there, it's going to be like, I feel seen, known, heard, because right now in the culture that we are living in, there's a real difference between expressing yourself and being received. And being received.
Let's unpack that again. There's a difference between expressing yourself
and being received.
Expressing oneself is seemingly possible. Being received seems to be a more
an interactive thing. And it's possible to be self-received also. I mean, one can feel, or it's possible if someone has spiritual inclinations, it's possible to be received spiritually. Or if someone is an atheist, it's possible to be received just by aliveness, whatever that is.
I want to go back to, first of all, I'm going to talk about a word, because during the break, I thought of I call it a great acronym for the word humor. And I want to talk more in depth about the genius of humor for wellness.
Yes.
See, part of what I'm called, I am the ambassador of joy. I am also a mental wellness activist. Years ago, people called me a mental health activist, and I lived with it. And then I needed to shift it from mental health, even though I love mental health, meaning good health, to mental wellness. And you've been talking about wellness and humor and how important, how intricately involved they are. So let me tell you my acronym for humor, and then I'm going to ask you a question about an amazing book, which I think you know. Humor, HUMOR, stands for healthy understanding makes others rebound.
That's gorgeous. That's true. That's truly gorgeous.
From me, not from me.
I understand. I understand.
But I'm telling you, Barbara Ann, I got it from you.
Oh, thank you.
I was listening of listening to what we're talking about. You're
Yes.
animated. If you have the opportunity to be watching this, you can see it. If you're only listening, then you'll feel it. I know, but it's that point that you mentioned about growing, receiving, and that's the rebound. So there's a wonderful, amazing book, which I think almost every human being should read if you're capable of reading English, because I don't think it's been translated into many languages. It's by a man named Norman Cousins, who was remarkably gifted as a writer, and he went through a very serious illness. So serious that his doctors, the most famous doctors in the world at the time, thought he was about to die within a matter of months. And the book is called The Anatomy of an Illness. Are you familiar with it?
Yes.
So he made a conscious decision. He said, if it was stress and difficulty that got me to this position, which was eating up his physical being, he was dying because of the stress and the things that were happening. Yes, there were some physical ailments, but it was stress. He said, if it got me here, guess what the antidote should be? Laughter, humor. And
Yes.
he would, now this goes back decades. He didn't have the internet at his disposal. In his hospital room and eventually in a hotel room, because they had to move him out of the hospital, he made sure that every single day he would watch anything and everything that he knew would make him happy, whether it's Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, the Our Gang, whatever comedy he could find, so he could laugh, belly laugh, real laugh.
Yes.
And he was right. He cured himself. So I'm asking you, if we onto something here, how does wellness get back into the cabinet? So if somebody opens it and maybe in addition to reaching for whatever, for your headache, you're reaching for that bottle of laughter, of humor.
Thank you for that wonderful question. One of the things is to recognize that humor is already in the wellness cabinet because it's in our physiology. Humor is physiological. It's laughter is, yes, there are cultural things that create laughter in this culture or that culture, but all across the world, human beings laugh the same way. And there are ways to create humor on purpose, which clowns and physical actors and the whole theater industry will know. One of them is the rule of three. And this is a physiological thing. This is not cultural. The rule of three is same, different. If you takes one, you set up an expectation and you break it. So if I've got a lawnmower and then I've got a lawnmower and then I've got 19 ice cream cones, right? It's as soon as you have one thing, the brain will, as soon as you have an instance of two, you have a pattern. And our brain will then look for the third thing to be the same. And if we switch it up, then you can create laughter in a situation. I encourage everyone just to try this. It may or may not be successful. It might create a smile. It might not. But it's physiologically true. And because of that, it's human. And one of the things about humor being in the wellness cabinet, and thank you for calling it the wellness cabinet, I like that a lot, is that the way to have more of us remember what's anciently true is to have conversations about things like the first laugh and like, when was the last time something difficult happened in your past and you said, oh, did you have the first laugh about that yet?
Yes.
People will say, oh, does that still hurt? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how much does that hurt? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how close are you to the first laugh? The first laugh, I can have a first laugh. That's even possible.
So I want to mention to you, because it just happened 8 days ago with my 6.5-year-old grandson, who was running around on his skateboard type of thing and fell. Okay. And got a bruise, and it was a real bruise. He had a little blood and saying, and then I went over and hugged him and said, wow, look at that, Moshe. That is fabulous. How do you feel? Are you laughing? And he looks at me, he said, no, Papa, it hurts. I said, well, let's laugh about it. He said, what are you talking about? I started tickling him, and guess what? He was laughing. And I'm telling you, Barbara Ann, within 8 seconds, he's back up on a scooter again.
And it's because there's permission to laugh. One of the things that is that we're buzzing around with right now is that it's inappropriate to laugh ever. But if it's inappropriate to laugh ever because things are too serious, and then it's impossible to be well fully. And that's a really big statement that I just made. And I know that, and when I say humor, it doesn't mean belly laughing necessarily. It could just mean joy. It could mean relief. It could mean a giggle. It could mean just like crying, laughing, anything on that scale, but it's uplift. And so one of the stories I tell about myself, which is completely ridiculous. This is just a silly, silly, silly story. This is not one of the ones that's really serious. I was in fourth grade, I was on the stage in the orchestra. I was the principal of the second violin section. And there were a whole bunch of boys in the first violin section. And I was just on the edge of the stage being like, wow, check it out. I'm playing my violin. There's boys in the first violin section. And then while I was playing my violin, the person who was sitting next to me suddenly turned and looked in the space where I used to be, and I was not there because I fell off the stage. I fell off the stage because I thought, wow, boys in the first violin. I mean, it was really, and at the time nothing hurt. My violin was smashed. My body was not harmed. What was hurt was my ego, because I was so embarrassed. I was laying there and I was thinking, oh God, now what? I'm so embarrassed. What am I going to do? Of course, this is a story no one let me forget until I graduated from high school, because I stayed in the same school system. Right. So I faked an injury. I full on faked an injury. I was like, oh God, I just started to cry. Like, what else am I going to do? I'm going to cry. Okay, fine. And so the orchestra conductor comes down, carries me to the nurse. And then I have this situation to deal with, because now I'm in the nurse, but I was fine the whole time. So if you're fine before you even get there, and you're sitting in the nurse on one of those like fake leatherette couches that's sort of cool and smells a little bit odd, you sit in there and like, well, when is it appropriate to leave? When do I leave the nurse, considering I was okay before I even got here? Huh. Well, now I'm in a situation, aren't I? So I have to invent when I'm going to be okay, but I'm already okay. So it's that situation. I was very embarrassed by it. And I tried to cover up being embarrassed with faking an injury. And so when I tell that story on Circus of the Heart, I turn to those listening and say, who else here has ever faked an injury? But more than that, who here has ever been in a jam and had to be super creative in the moment to just work it out? And so that became funny to me over time. What if I led a different life and I fell off the stage in fourth grade and hurt myself and was so embarrassed that I never got on stage again? What if that was my life? And then I never would have been a pediatric hospital clown. I never would have done dinner theater. I wouldn't be the Jester of the piece. It's possible to, in that moment, make those choices and be like, oh, well, that's dangerous. I'm never going to get on stage again because I might fall off the stage and everyone might laugh at me. And I've had people in some of the artworks that I've done and programs that I've done, whether it's a community group or a corporate group or a cultural group or an art center, whatever it might be, come and say, oh, I haven't been on stage since I was 5. I haven't spoken in public since I was 5.
In other words, there were numbers of people who didn't get up.
There are numbers of people.
All of those potential wonderful. By the way, you said that you were a pediatrician.
I was a pediatric hospital clown.
Pediatric hospital clown.
Yeah, I was.
Let's unpack that a little bit, because it sounds intriguing.
Oh, there's a worldwide movement of clown doctors who work in children's hospitals, and some of them also work in senior centers, and bring joy and laughter to people in the hospital situation. What we're really doing is creating a moment of laughter with some of the things that are the most difficult, so that the family can get a laugh, release some stress, and keep going. So one of the questions that I have is, with this awareness of the first laugh, and this is for everyone listening right now, and thank you for being here listening, what in our lives could now be set free if we could find a humorous reframe, or find something from the journey from then till now? And who in our lives can we sense is ready to let go of whatever decision they made because a bad thing happened? And what if we start listening to them? around having that first laugh, or even just starting to talk about stories that are funny now that used to be difficult. Because as soon as we're even talking about stories that are humorous now that used to be difficult, it by osmosis, if that's the word, just seeps into people's consciousness because we're around the possibility of humor. And
Oh, wait a minute. This is
yeah,
it. The possibility of humor.
yes. And it's very important to note that there are things in this lifetime that will not find humor. There are things that will be too soon all our lives. And there are things that will be too soon generationally, but in future generations and it's not that the original thing is funny. That's the thing, because sometimes people will tell themselves it's inappropriate to find humor from this journey forward because that thing was so difficult.
Horrific. Yes.
Yes. And if we listen to war survivors, there are humorous tales that help the human spirit persevere and thrive and keep going. Humor, art, and love are my top three, the top three connectors of the human spirit. And underneath everything, what I care about the most is people finding their gift to humanity, giving it, and being appreciated for it in their lifetime. So like I said, I'm a very serious artist. I use humor as a strategy, and I also use the familiar, like weddings and voting and things, because they're familiar and they lower people's defenses. But underneath it, my definition of a fulfilling life is, did we find our gift to give? Did we give it? And were we appreciated for it in our lifetime? And if the world is not set up for a whole bunch of people to even find their gift, because they're working too many jobs, or they have too much stress, or they have a physical situation going on, or whatever it might be, or there's emotional distress. If the world's not set up for people to find their gift, well, what in the world are we doing?
And the world is set up. Here's the genius of life.
Yes.
The world is set up because you, Y-O-U, you're in charge of your world. You just gave the world, by the way, a wonderful acronym for HALO. Did you know that you're wearing a halo at this moment? Everybody wears a halo. You especially, because you said it. You ready?
What did I say?
Humor, art, love overcomes.
Yes, that's what I.
That's a halo.
Yes,
humor, art.
Thank you for that, Barry. Thank you so much.
Now, we have a halo for our sponsors. We love them. We wouldn't have them if we didn't vet them. We urge you to consider using their products and services because they're good for you. So we'll be right back with more Jester of the Piece right after this brief message. Don't go away.
Thank you.
What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card, and get extra cashback rewards? And what if you could also have donations sent to your favorite cause at no extra cost to you? What if this amazing program was absolutely free and very simple to set up? Well, What If is here. Welcome to Einstein Cares, where your everyday shopping gives you and your favorite cause extra money. It's fast, it's easy, and effortless.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, good looking, so always looking for and finding the good. If we found good, we have a halo. We have the Jester of the Piece. We have a woman who brings out the best in humor. And wonderful Barbara Ann, you just gave me an inspiration for an acronym for the word laughter.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. L-A-U-G-H-T-E-R. Loving awareness unleashes genuine, healthy transformation, energizing rewards.
That's brilliant and true. It's true. I really appreciate you, because when you're giving me these acronyms today, you're giving me the love in it and the transformation in it and the co-arising. One of the things about doing this work of humor and wellness is that it's co-arising. When I'm doing my I Vote For You project, whether I'm voting, someone decides, oh, I'm going to be the president of Free Food for Kids today, and then they might get emotional depending on what's in their life about that. Or they might be, I'm the president of candy, or all good. It's really about what's the person's self-declaration in the moment. What we experience is co-arising. They can't feel better and I don't. And so it's also when I go to seen, heard, celebrated, it's also me. I also need to be seen, heard, celebrated, and connected, because I'm a human being too. And we can hold all the space for all the people. And what I love about what I've discovered is mine to do is that it's co-arising joy. It's co-arising peacefulness, co-arising release of emotion, co-arising anything. And it's one of the fastest ways to connect, and we need more connection, more connection.
Yes, connections. It's remarkably interesting that we're talking about the C word, because people think of this term, a misnomer, it's called social media. I think, unfortunately, in today's environment, it's more an anti-social media process, because it does not really bring connection. It brings about division. Part of the connection issue with human beings is human beings.
Humans being.
Yes.
I think it's a mixed bag.
Even this podcast, as wonderful as it is, and it is wonderful.
I love this podcast.
Thank God people love it. It's not about Barry Shore, fabulous fellow that he is, Jester of the Peace, amazing, remarkable, bountiful being. It's about you, YOU. Yeah. And you speaking with your family, your friends after the show, and pointing your finger and saying, F you, capital N, capital N. Because when you, first of all, get a connection, you need to get attention. If you get attention first to somebody, now you have the potential to speak about something and make a connection. I want to mention to you, wonderful Jester of the Peace, that there's something that I'm honored to say was taught by a wonderful mentor of mine. Her name is Rivoli Roth. She passed away a number of years ago. She was a master who had a practice that was handed down, she told me, for at least 1,000 years, at least. And it's so simple. You're going to love it because you know it's true, because you probably do this. She taught me how to laugh. I laugh every morning. I laugh before noon and afternoon. So I do it for almost first thing in the morning and before I go to sleep. And it sometimes it's only 12, 15 seconds. Sometimes it can go on for half a minute or more. And I laugh. And I just start laughing. Right. And I think about, as I'm doing it, I start thinking about something that happened in the day that I did that was probably silly or not. And in a nice way, I say to myself, so laugh about it. You messed up. You didn't do that.
There's a distinction about laughter that is important in terms of interacting with other people and also our own selves, which is the difference between laughing with and laughing at. If I'm laughing with other people, then we are together enjoying this moment. If I am laughing at someone, then there's a division. So it's either divisive or connective. And I have a theory that one of the reasons why we have more acting out, more trending towards violent behaviors among young people is that that seen and heard is not enough.
Say it again.
Seen and heard is not enough, because it's possible to be seen, heard, and rejected. And if someone is seen and heard and rejected, it's just devastating to the human spirit. And that's laughing at. And laughing with is seen and heard and celebrated, or seen and heard and connected, or seen and heard and united, or whatever it's going to be. And to focus on, so if we look at our lives, where am I participating and laughing at, and where am I participating and laughing with? Because sometimes when people will start to talk to me about the first laugh, they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna laugh at that thing that happened in my life. And I say, aha, wait a second. Instead, let's redirect towards laughing with that situation that happened in my life, so that we're including it. Because if we laugh at the situation,
absolutely correct,
then there's a division, and we haven't put it through the process that has it go free.
Absolutely wonderful that you are putting in this pixie dust. And again, this is something that my mentor taught me. Yeah. I'm laughing with me, not laughing at me. Saying, well, Because what I'm not doing, and by the way, it takes time to get to this. I'm not saying, well, look at that. That was silly. Look what you did. On the contrary, it was not in any way reprimanding. It was laughing with me and saying, oh, that was amazing. Why would you do that? Why would you say that to your wife? That was silly. I'm going to do better next time. Seeing, heard, accepting, and laughing with it.
Yes.
And really feeling that release. I think that's one of the things that you've mentioned, that release from the stresses and pressures of everyday life. And everybody has them. Everybody has them. You can be the richest person in the world financially. Don't think that you don't have stresses. You could be one of the poorest people in the world. You'll have stresses. Hello. It has less to do with your bank account and more to do with your process of thoughts, words, and deeds.
Yes. From right there, let's look at support systems in our lives. Okay. Who has an accountability buddy? Oh, sure. People have accountability buddies. I'm going to make sure I did the thing, checked off all my stuff. Done, 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 done. How many people have a laughter buddy? How many people have a reframe buddy? How many people have somebody who the purpose of this connection that we're going to establish is to reframe, who has a first laugh buddy? Who has that? What if we started having those as well as our accountability buddies?
Beautiful. By the way, everybody that's listening, I mean everybody, is leaning in and thinking right now, wait a minute, could I really do that? So the answer is yes, you can.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Not only yes, you can, we urge you, yes, please do.
Well, and the other thing is that we're designed to do so. Humor for wellness, humor, art, and love. So the congregation of temporarily called Humorville is called the House of Holy Humor. And I really considered, because it's a non-religious congregation and I'm an interfaith minister, not part of a religion, upholding art, love, and humor as a life path, right? I thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't use the word holy. However, what using the word holy does is it creates this wonderful conversation about art, love, and humor. Are art, love, and humor sacred? Like usually when we go to love, you're like, yeah, love's sacred. Go love. Yay, we love love. Love's sacred. Woo. Is art sacred? Is humor
excuse
sacred?
Me. That is the ultimate in sacred. Hello.
Yes. You and I, we agree on this. And I would suggest that one of the things that we're both doing in our unique and wonderful ways is having more people embrace that at that level.
Well said, as usual. The only thing that I'm hesitant to say, and it must be said at the moment, is we're coming to a closure for our time together. However, I have 3 questions for you, wonderful Jester of the Peace.
Yes, please.
First question.
Yep.
Will you come back again?
Yes.
Woo!
I'd love to. I'd be absolutely honored and delighted to do that. Thank you.
Okay. Next question. And you have 80 seconds only to answer this question. 80 seconds only.
All right. I'm ready.
Jester of the Peace, Barbara Ann Michaels.
Yes, very sure.
What is your most fervent desire? 80 seconds.
My most fervent desire is to bring together other people from around the world who are also working on humor for wellness and establish humor and wellness as a movement, which it already is in the human condition and the human spirit, but to bring it back out into common awareness so that we've got humor in the wellness cabinet for generations to come, and things like the first laugh or having a laughter buddy or a reframe buddy or towns of Humorville all around the world and in the metaverse, so that it's common to have a Jester of the Peace in the town once I start ordaining Jesters of the Peace beyond myself, so that we've got a movement around humor as a life
connection. For connection.
Yes. Do I have any seconds left?
That's it.
Woo!
And the third question, may I give you a hug in front of 391,811 people around the world?
Yes.
Okay, let me tell you what HUG stands for. HUG is HUG.
Yes.
It stands for heartfelt, unlimited giving. 1, 2, 3. Roar! And of course, this is The Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, and our amazing, wonderful guest, the Jester of the Peace, Barbara Michaels. And we're here because you have tuned in for one reason only. It's the best reason in the whole world, because you care the most in the entire world about you. And when you become the best you possible, make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony. You create more connections, build more joy, happiness, peace, and love. And you know, by using the three fundamentals of life, you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthy. Who doesn't want that? Life has purpose. That's number one fundamental. Number two is go mad, go make a difference. And number three is unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms like WWW. What a wonderful world. Smile, seeing miracles in life every day. As my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. Create the kind of world you want to live in, causing rethinking, like we've been discussing today, enabling all to excel. Use 4-letter words. Love, life, hope, free, give, play, pray, swim, and tell people to F you. Capital N, capital S. After the show, do that. Point your finger, have a smile on your face. Tell people F you, capital N, capital S. Where do you get that? Say, it will enable you to begin talking about the reframing, using humor, art, love to open up the world. And of course, use the two most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life. It will make you happier, healthier, and wealthier. And these two words are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks stands for harmonize and nurture kindness. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle about you know nothing about. Therefore, be kind always. Keep inspiring noble deeds. And a blessing from Barry and Barbara Ann, the Jester of the Peace. Go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Barbara Ann, don't go away.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.